Deloads is what I want to talk to you about, and I think this is a good segue. Commonly, deload weeks or whatever are planned. So we're going to build for 3 weeks, we're going to build for 4 weeks, we're going to deload on week 4 and 5. That's pre-planned. It's assumed that we're accruing fatigue over the course of the building weeks. You're going to be tired. Your performance is going to drop off. So let's be preemptive about that and throw a deload. Let's stay ahead of that accrued fatigue. And that way you can just, keep building, keep building, keep building. Do you have planned deloads, or do you let the performance dictate when you deload?
I let the performance dictate when I deload. So even when I was working with Chico, so he didn't do like deloads like you're used to seeing, like a large drop in volume, maybe some intensity kept in there to hold on to some training adaptation. So I've never had like a coach that did true deloads. I don't do them the same way with my coach now either. So I kind of let performance dictate it. It's rare that we ever deload like that. Like, so basically, let's say you come in, you have a bad day. Hey, we're going to chalk this up as a bad day. You come in the next day, it sucks too. And now you're starting to get some like nagging things really building up. We have a conversation. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's appropriate to kind of keep pushing. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to take those top sets and I'm just going to be a little bit more conservative with them. Like, let's work up to this. If this feels good, maybe take a second set here and we'll move on to the next day. So it'll be a drop in intensity and volume, but there's still, in a lot of these cases, like, there's still, tripling 85 to 90% on a set, but maybe just the one instead of the 2 hard sets, no back offs, a little bit more moderate on the accessory work, but we don't really deload very often. I haven't seen a need to. I have a 57 kilogram lifter who is, competes at nationals. She hit deadlift PRs in 17 of 19 sessions. So she went 8 straight weeks of just crushing deadlift PRs. If I had ever just pre-planned a deload in there, we probably don't get that same progress. We get this, you go 3 weeks and then you have a drop off in performance, and then there's a period of time where you have to build back up again because you don't want to just jump right in. So you're losing good amounts of training to get back to that spot. So I think it can actually handcuff lifters in the long run.
So would you say that you are deloading? You are just deloading just enough so that they can still, hopefully you're finding that spot where they can still get a training adaptation, and just long enough, only as long as you have to.
Yeah, exactly. So if they feel good on if I'm conservative on a top set and they come in and they smoke it and they're like, hey, I feel pretty good, fucking load it up. Like, we'll pick it right back up where we left off. Like, nothing's written in stone. And like John can tell you this, like, if you look at his program, there are no sets written. There's just reps and exercise, a suggested top weight. And it's up to, so the program is the communication between us and our relationship and the lifter's training skill and me just guiding that process along. So, novice. So Steph, who's been on the podcast, we call her No Rep Steph around here because, she's a novice lifter. She misses a lot of reps. She's learning how to figure that stuff out. So, in those types of cases, it's just, they need to figure it out themselves, and it's really hard to explain without actually like seeing the process, because like people are like, you make absolutely no sense with what you're doing. But it's like going to practice, like in any sport. Like, I played soccer, we'd go to practice, we'd do some drills, and we'd go home. Like, that's how I look at it here, and we do just enough not to freaking kill them. And if it's there, we'll do more. If it's not, we'll do less. Like, it's making coaching decisions and guiding the athlete along. So the deload part, it's kind of up to them. And like, if somebody doesn't want to be that competitive in the sport, I'm not going to make them train through pain. Like, if you're uncomfortable, we'll have a conversation. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. For the ones who want to be competitive at a national level, like, we have conversations and we train hard through that stuff, and they take even less time off.
That's, especially after explaining with Steph as a new learner, it's probably a good time to talk about movement variability. and your thoughts on movement variability, especially the thing that I enjoy looking at, which is the U-shaped curve between novice, intermediate, and what would be considered expert lifters and their movement variability. So you want to take a stab at that real quick?
Yeah, so what you'll see is there's high levels of variability between novice lifters and elite lifters, and then the intermediates are kind of in the middle of it. So novices, basically why you see a high amount of variability is because it's their nervous system is just filled with noise. Their perception of what the actual movement is supposed to be like is just, they just don't have enough information yet to actually have a good structure to lay down those movement strategies. Where at the other end of the spectrum, an elite lifter has enough variability to be able to adapt to any environment. So what you'll see is with the novice, when I move there, let's take a squat. So between wide stance, close stance, comp stance, high bar squats, with a novice, they'll be able to lift roughly the same amount of weight no matter what position I kind of put them in. And it kind of all looks the same. It's just kind of all over the place for each one as they're trying to figure it out. For an elite lifter, they're able to figure it out and they're able to lift the same amount of weight roughly. Like there will be some differences here, but within 5% at least. But they'll be able to lift similar amounts of weight in all of those different positions as well. Where an intermediate, I can find a position where there's, they might put their feet wider in a squat and all of a sudden they see like a 25% drop in one rep max. So they've developed enough stability to be able to maybe do the competition lift with, an intermediate level of expertise, but they haven't developed that next level yet where they can just be strong under any circumstance.